Okay, let's look at 9.9 here. We have substantival adjectives in Greek. So what can we say about substantival adjectives? Remember, I told you that basically they are attributive adjectives that are just missing the noun. Okay? And that means then that they are going to have to occur in some kind of a case with some kind of a gender and number. So what's going to determine the case of a substantival adjective? What will determine its case? Its function, exactly. Case is determined by the function in the sentence. So if the substantival adjective is the subject, it'll be what case? Nominative, that's right. And if the substantival adjective is the direct object, it'll be accusative, okay? So in other words, if I wanted to say something like the good men are in heaven, I'd have nominative form of good. Men would be nominative, right? Because they're the subject. But then if I wanted to just use a substantival adjective, then I would say something like the good are in heaven. That would be nominative, right? So whatever the noun would have been if as an attributive adjective, when you drop the noun, the substantival adjective will take the noun's role and therefore the noun's case that it should have been. Okay? So case is going to be determined by its function in the sentence or the clause. Its gender and its number is going to be determined by what? Yeah, the noun that's absent, exactly. Whatever that noun would have been had it been an attributive adjective and dropped, that will be what determines its case and, its gender and number. So we might refer to this as the referent, okay? So what does that attributive adjective refer to? Now, let's say I want to say something like this. Hoi agathoi agaposin. So this is the good love ton lagon. Hoi agathoi agaposin ton lagon. What case gender and number is hoi agathoi? It's nominative, it's plural, and it's masculine, right? What determines this nominative case? The fact that it's the subject. What is determining the fact that it's plural and masculine? Yeah, what it refers to, which we don't have any context here, but I would assume that if someone is loving, if the subject is doing some this activity, that it's probably referring to men, right? Or people. Now, how am I going to translate a substantival adjective like this in such a way that maybe I reflect the plurality? Because if I just say the good, in English, we don't add an S to the adjective to make it plural, do we? If you say the goods, you've turned that into a noun. Give me the goods, right? So how might I reflect the plurality and maybe even the masculinity of this substantival adjective here that's functioning as the subject? I could add men. Okay, I could cast about for a clear referent in the context. That would help me. So I could say the good men. What might be another way to translate this? Yes, I could say the good ones. Now there, the word ones doesn't commit me to a gender, does it? But it does commit me to the plurality of the nominative plural form here. Good. And then if it's not men, but maybe, angels or something, then, I may want to clarify that. But in the context, that'll probably be abundantly clear. Whenever an author or a speaker chooses to use a substantival adjective, it's going to be because they feel like they can drop the noun and you're going to not misunderstand, okay? It's communication here is a cooperative enterprise that way. All right. So does all that make sense? Now, what if I change this to, well, here, let me back up. Can I say the good and not say anything? The good love the word. Does that make sense in English? It does, doesn't it? If I said the good are here I'm referring to good people. Now, here's the thing about English. For me to say something like the good do this or the good do that, if I don't put a helping word like men or ones, you should assume in English that I'm talking about something plural. Don't you? Don't you intuitively think that? Okay, so if it's singular, let's change this now to a singular substantival adjective functioning as the subject. Then we're going to have a slightly different translation strategy. Ha, agathos, oops, smooth breathing, ha agathos, and then the singular form is agapa, and then ton logon. Now, how am I going to want to translate that? First of all, what case gender number is ha agathos? It's nominative, right, and singular, okay? Great. So how do you want to translate that? The good. Okay, good. Can you say the good loves the word? Doesn't that sound funny to you? The good loves the word. Now, if it were the good love the word, you know it's plural, right? But we can't do this in English. So with plural substantivals, you might just say the adjective and leave it there. But you can't do that with singular ones. So you've got to add something here. And what are we going to add? If it's masculine singular, the good man or the good one, the good dude, or something like that. Okay? That makes sense? All right. Very good. Very good. All right. Let's see. When we have a predicate use of the adjective. On page 67, we come to 9.11 and 12 and following. And so here, we try to figure out how to tell the difference between adjectives that function attributively versus predicatively versus substantively. Now, there is a word introduced here, and I'm going to actually give you two. The word articular, what does that mean? Yes, it occurs with an article, okay? So with article. And then if something is without the article, what term are we going to be using? Anarthrous. Anarthrous. You know, the alpha privative or the the negative atheist, right? No, not a theist. If you have a vowel that you're prefixing the alpha privative to, then an N gets stuck in there. Okay, so no article is the idea here. Okay, so this is a noun that is without the article. And so we're going to be looking for whether the noun is articular, and if so, you know, what accompanies it, or if it's anarthrous. Now, if you have an article immediately before the adjective, then you have either one of two things. Okay, so we'll just number these. You have article plus adjective, then you really have two possibilities here. It's either the attributive or it's the substantival use. All right. Remember, a substantival adjective is basically an attributive adjective without the noun. So you're going to see a lot of similarities here between these two. So if there's an article immediately in front of the adjective, that is to say, if the adjective is articular, then it's going to be one of these two possibilities. Let's look at a couple of examples here. Okay, so I have ha agathos logos. Ha is the what? Article. Agathos is Adjective. Logos is noun. Okay. Is the adjective articular? It is. Then it's going to be a substantival or an attributive adjective. Is there a noun that this adjective accompanies and agrees with in case, gender, or number? Yes. Then which use of the adjective is this? It's attributive. Very good. And then how would I translate this? It's going to tell me what kind of logos, so it's the good word. Okay? Now, the attributive adjective, is it first or second relative to the noun? Which one comes first, the adjective or the noun? The adjective does. So this is called the first attributive position. Okay, so the reason it's called first is because with respect to the noun, it happens first. Okay, so first attributive position. Now look at the second example. Ha logos, ha agathos. Literally the word, the good. Is the adjective articular? Yes, there's an article immediately preceding it. Is there a noun that it accompanies and agrees with in case, gender, or number? Yes. Logos is nominative singular masculine, and agathos is nominative singular masculine. So this is also an attributive adjective. But in relation to the noun, is it first or second? It is second. And so this is a second attributive position. All right. How would I translate this? I translate it the same way. The word, the good, is the good word. All right. So when the attributive adjective is before the noun, you just have one article and the adjective sandwich in between the article and the noun. If it's second, then you're going to see the article repeated twice here. The noun, the adjective. All right? So those are the two main ways you're going to see this. Now, on the other hand, if I just had something like ha, agathos, and then apen. You guys have come across that verb, haven't you? What's that mean? He, she, or it said. That's right. So notice that this article comes right before this adjective, doesn't it? So what are my two possibilities when the adjective is articular? Attributive or substantival. And then I have to ask, it could be either one, is there a noun that is explicitly stated here that it accompanies and agrees with in case, gender, or number? No. So if there's not a noun, then which of the two is it? It's substantival. All right. So there. Clear enough? Okay, good. So those are going to be the way you distinguish. What's that? So here it would just be the good man. Yeah, I'll go ahead and write that down. The good man said, or the good one said. All right. The idea being, since this is a masculine singular adjective functioning as a noun, functioning substantively, I need to have some kind of a singular and masculine word here to help me process that or get that across to the reader. Alrighty. Now let's take a look at, on page 68, we come to the matter of the predicate use. So let's make some space here. And Mounce tells us, as far as the predicate use goes, if the noun is articular but the adjective is anarthrous, then the adjective is functioning as a predicate adjective. Let me make this a little simpler, okay? As a general rule, if the adjective is anarthrous, but a noun is articular, it's the predicate adjective. Okay? So let's look at a couple of examples here. As you know, in Greek, this is really the only place where this makes a problem for us, or creates a problem for us. In Greek, the copula, the verb to be, can be omitted. If the verb to be is explicit, you won't have any problems with identifying your predicate adjective, okay? Because you're going to have a copular construction there. But if the copula is missing, then we want to be thinking about whether the subject noun is articular or not. And if it is, and I have an adjective that agrees, but is not definite, not articular, it's anarthrous, then I'll be able to tell that it's a predicate adjective. So just a couple of examples here. If I have something like agathos, halagos. Okay, is my noun articular? Yes. Now, I might say, okay, and here's an adjective, and the adjective agrees with the noun in case, number, and gender, doesn't it? That must be an attributive adjective, right? And the answer is no. No, not necessarily, right? If the noun is articular and the adjective is anarthrous, then it is a predicate use, and all predicate uses have to insert some copula that's telling you what the noun is. In this case, this is a predicate adjective. I have to translate this as not the good word, but the word is good. Or if you kept it in the same order, good is the word. Okay, but that's saying the same thing as the word is good. All right? Now, I can put this in a different order. I could also say ha, logos, agathos. All right? Now, is my noun articular? Yes. Is my adjective articular? No, it's anarthrous. So this is also another situation where this is a predicate use, and I'm going to translate it the same way. The word is good. Okay? You guys see how that works? All right. Now, we have one problem area here, and that's this. And again, this is only a problem if the copula is missing, if the verb to be, ami, is gone. There's other verbs that function as copulas, genomai, which some of you may know. That'll function the same way as ami, but when there's no copula explicit, this is where we have the problem, okay? If the subject is anarthrous, and if the adjective is anarthrous, then guess what? All bets are off, okay? It is formally, not formerly, ambiguous. That is to say, it could be a predicate or an attributive adjective, okay? So let's take a look at a couple of examples. I could have logos, agathos. Logos, agathos. Okay, there we go. How might I translate that? Well, that's just literally a word and then good, right? So this could be a word is good, or it could be a good word. Okay? They're both possible. Both of those are possible. And the reason this is ambiguous is because I don't have a copula. If esten were right there in the middle, I wouldn't even think about that being an attributive adjective, would I? It would be logos esten agathos, a word is good. Okay? It's only when I lack the copula and I have no articulation of either form, then it could actually go either way. So that's where you have to then look at your context look broader, and it'll usually clarify things for you there. Okay, let me give you one example where the context can clarify this. What if I said something like Apen, what's that mean again? He, she, or it said. So Apen logon agathon. Okay. Apen logon agathon. This is our noun. Is it articular? Nope. This is my adjective. Is it articular? No. Okay. So clearly this could be a predicate adjective as well as an attributive, right? No. Why not? Because it's in the accusative case. Predicate adjectives occur in what case? The nominative case. And when you have a predicate adjective, what are you asserting? You're asserting that the subject is that adjective. But this is not a verb. This is not a sentence whose verb is it? This is a sentence whose verb is said. So this cannot be a predicate adjective because it's not a copular construction. I'm not asserting that something is anything. All right? And what that means is that I can scratch off the predicate idea. This is, he said a good word. He said a word, a good. That is, he said a good word. All right? So here, just the grammatical context can help you disambiguate this sort of a thing. All right. Good. Any questions about this? All right. Great. Let's go down to 9.14. All right. You will see in Greek sometimes a situation where an article does not accompany a noun, which is what it normally accompanies, and it doesn't accompany an adjective, but rather it accompanies a prepositional phrase. So if you look at this Matthew 2:16 example, this is really an interesting one. We have tous paidas, which is the children. So tous paidas, tous en Bethlehem. So this is my noun. This is my article, right? The children, the in Bethlehem. Okay? There's the article. And then here I've got not an adjective, which is what I would expect, right? If I wanted to have an article, noun, article, something, it would be usually an adjective. But here I have a prepositional phrase filling that adjective slot. What are ways to translate this? He killed the children, the in Bethlehem would be he killed the in Bethlehem children. Okay? Now, that sounds like terrible English, but that's great German if you speak German. Yeah? Yeah. He killed the in Bethlehem children. Yeah. Okay. So, in order to make this good English, in other words, this prepositional phrase is functioning like an attributive adjective, right? Article, noun, article, adjective, but here we've inserted a prepositional phrase. The in Bethlehem children. How can we rephrase that into good English? Yeah, the children who were in Bethlehem. Now, why are we making it past tense? Yeah, because killed is past tense. In other words, the context helps you there. Now, if I said something like, hey, I love tous paidas, tous en Bethlehem. How would you translate that? I love the children who are in Bethlehem. Because contextually, I'm talking present tense, okay? In other words, when we have situations like this, we're going to use what in English is called a relative clause. The children who, or the children that are or were in Bethlehem. Okay, so just be careful when you see this because it's not good English, but it's good Greek. And you'll see this quite a lot. So anyhow, there you go. 9:50. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. It is. This is also accusative masculine plural. It's a third declension noun, and we will learn those in the next chapter. Yep. All right, good. So these do match. They're following the rules. Okay. At 9:15, we've already talked about with the 2-2 pattern of two termination adjectives, so we don't need to cover that. 9:16, he has a comment there about neuter plural subjects. Neuter plural subjects. And this is the situation here. So neuter plural subjects. When you have verbs are supposed to agree with the subject noun in gender and number. And so if you had a neuter plural subject, you would expect the verb to be plural. But there are a great many situations in Greek where a neuter plural subject is going to take a singular verb. Okay? And it is just a part of what Greek often does. He gives you an example from 1 John 4:1. Dokimadzete ta pneumata e ektutheu estin. Ta pneumata. You don't really know the word pneumata, but you know the word ta. What number is ta? Singular or plural? It's plural. So ta pneumata is neuter plural. Okay? And in this example, it's saying, test the spirits to see if they are such and such. Okay? From God. What form of a me do we have? We have estin, right? And that is third person singular. Singular. But pneumata is plural. But it's neuter plural. And you will frequently see singular verbs with neuter plural subjects. All right? Just get used to it. I apologize up front. But it's going to happen, and it's going to happen quite a lot.